Hi there and welcome to Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. I'm Sonja from Your Success Story, Single Mom Level Up Edition, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters, and when my husband separated from me in 2017, he moved out on a Sunday and the next morning my mother died unexpectedly. During this time, I was although in the middle of chemotherapy. Suddenly, I'm all alone with 3 small children. As a single mom and a businesswoman, I know firsthand how challenging and rewarding this journey can be. When I first became a single mom, I felt overwhelmed and uncertain about the future. But through support and consistency, I've managed to build a life that I'm proud of, both for myself and my 3 children. This podcast is all about celebrating the incredible stories of ambitious single moms who are not only raising their children with love and dedication, but also pursuing their dreams and building successful businesses. Each episode, we will dive into their journeys, exploring the heights and lows, the lessons learned, and the strategies they've used to overcome challenges. My goal is to inspire, motivate, and provide valuable insights for all the amazing single moms out there who are striving to create a better future for themselves and their families. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and there are endless possibilities when you take charge of your life. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Today I have Chavisa as my guest. She's from Vancouver and I'm so excited to talk to you today, Chavisa. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Such a treat to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy. And we already spoke a few weeks ago together, and I know you have so much to share with the single moms. And we decided to talk about how you get from a crisis into a new life, how you can transform that. So, what is it that you especially want to share with single moms, women in general, and what are your experiences?
Well, I suppose the way I would start is saying, we can never imagine forward what our lives are going to be like. We can't imagine what's going to come down the plate for us. And also, we can't imagine our capacity to handle whatever comes our way. And so I note increasingly that life is this beautiful invitation to grow and be stretched and develop new skills that you hadn't anticipated. And it's ultimately an act of transformation. So in my experience, sometimes we get thrown wild curveballs that we could never conceptualize, we could never imagine, and we have to deal with them. And so I think part of addressing unexpected changes is over time learning how to A, get through whatever's on our plate, but B, to transform and to take the invitation to develop new skills, develop a new approach to perhaps self-care, and develop an arsenal of skills that you had never anticipated, and then activating them so that you ultimately are in completely new terrain. And that's part of our conversation today, right? Is that you and I have both had profound transformations that we could never have counted on. And probably when they first arose, we thought, oh, I'm done for. I'm defeated. This isn't going to work. But actually, once you start to digest how to get over it and get through it, you're coming you're developing an enormous skill set that gives you a lot of capacity. And then when you're on the other side and you've taken the time to digest and process and maybe metabolize, then you're incredibly strong and powerful and arguably potentially unstoppable. So
yeah, absolutely. Last week, a friend told me, oh, I spoke with a friend and she said, yeah, you didn't get married to get divorced. So most of the women who get divorced, and another friend wrote me today, she's also divorced. Yeah, she has to get over that point that her dream doesn't come true anymore. So yes, we have to deal with a massive crisis, or a lot of women, because the whole life breaks apart or falls apart, or everything. And so there is a massive, that you have to take responsibility of your life and get into that self-care in form of making that transformation, as you already said. And how were you able to transform?
So I agree with you. Like, as a new mom, I never wanted to be a single mom.
Mm.
That was not one of the things that I envisioned or wanted for my life. And the way that I became a single mom, for me, included gender-based violence. So there was no going back. There was no space for repairing a relationship that involved violence. So for me, it was actually like, it's one thing to lose a relationship and another to have a profound breach of safety. And so that produced a huge turmoil for me and a huge experience that really required an enormous amount of effort to get through. But in doing so, I learned spectacular things. And in my personal case, I experienced extended gender-based violence. It went for a long time. It was very acute. And strangely, and I could never have imagined this, and I could never have paid for this, but what I learned during that time was how to get through enormous messes. But the other thing that happened to me is that I learned to love myself. I learned to trust myself, and it was profound. Not this kind of like surface level self-care, not this kind of like bubble bath self-care, this profound molecular, I love myself, and I have to love myself going through an unwanted crisis and an unwanted experience. And that, I would say, perhaps that single transformation to really loving myself and trusting myself was a profound gift.
Yeah, and by loving yourself and trusting yourself, you will realize that you are worthy to have a better life. And I think that's very important, that women see, okay, there is another life possible, a life where I'm treated well. And in the first place, we have to treat ourselves well. It's on us, it's on ourselves to start treating and taking self-care and everything. And that's so important. So that's great that you had this profound experience. And I know that you're working with other women who go through similar traumas as well. And I think there are more women than we believe that there are outside. And it's so how do you work with these women?
So after navigating such an extensive complication that was many years, I developed a profound skill set that I wouldn't have necessarily envisioned and imagined. And so over time, it became clear to me that I had been very forthcoming about what I was dealing with. And so people started sending people to me for help, you know, because I think at the end of the day, it's hard for, I think our societal idea around marriage and parenting is very strong. So when there's a rupture and you're becoming a single parent, or you're dealing with a crisis, it's very hard for people in our community to accompany us. And it's very hard for our family and friends to be supportive.
Yeah.
And sometimes divorces, especially in the Canadian context, they can last 1 to 4 years.
Oh.
So these are like long, extended disruptions. And so I feel frequently that it really causes stress into the network, where it's hard on your family and friends to do such an extended support process. And so sort of what I envisioned was that I would accompany people and I would accompany them through this process. And so over time, I decided to take that very seriously. I decided, in addition to my master's degree, that I would get certified as a divorce coach so that I work with people across the terrain of divorce. And then I specialize in hidden abuse and gender-based violence. So my specialty is working with parents who are going through high conflict disputes and working with parents who are really having a hard time. I can work with the whole spectrum from friendly, loving, amicable divorces, but I can also work with the ones that are very, very challenging. And of course, when people are feeling isolated and depleted, to have someone in your corner who understands your terrain, who understands what you're grappling with, and that you don't need to sort of bring up to speed or explain how the dynamic is a huge relief to people. So because I started doing that work, increasingly people has just started coming my way. And there's a lot of folks who are going through hard times, and they could just really use someone who's not triggered, who's calm, and who's smart, plugged in, and loving as a person to accompany them. So that's the service that I've been increasingly providing. And then I'm super mindful that divorce is frequently traumatic. You know, so very irregularly, two parties agree that they want to separate in a peaceful, agreeable way and go their separate ways. But often there's conflict. And so by its nature, divorce tends to be traumatic. And so part of what I wanted to be able to do was tie in the divorce coaching with trauma recovery. And so I got myself certified in trauma recovery as a trauma recovery practitioner so that I can help people process and get themselves emotionally in a better space. Because it's one thing to go through the divorce, but then the truth is, once the paperwork's finalized, you have to live with that reality. Yeah. And so you're starting oftentimes a brand new life, or many factors that are brand new. And of course, this is your sweet, precious life. So what you want is to have the best trajectory forward. And so having support makes a huge difference in, you know, like having a divorce and then dealing with depression for many years. Yeah. Like that's not ideal. And it's much better if we can consciously, thoughtfully rebuild our lives and put the components in place so that we can start to build a beautiful life for ourselves and our kids that's meaningful and engaged and loving and all the things that we desire to support ourselves. So I find working with people rebuilding their lives extremely rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember when I got divorced, I always had the thinking of, oh, I had failed because I was not able to keep it going, our marriage, that I had the feeling I had failed, and that was very heavy here on my heart. it was a big pressure for me to get over that it was not a failure. It was just a chapter that ended, and it's okay that that we finished our marriage. And yeah, but for me at the beginning it was very hard, and I think, as you already mentioned, depression, and a lot of parents, for them it's difficult because of the kids. I don't know at the moment the English word, but yeah, it's always they're feeling always bad because of the kids. They don't have both parents and everything, and I think that's also very heavy pressure on mother and father, that that they can't give a whole family for their kids anymore. And yeah.
So I think you're raising really interesting points, and I feel those are like standard societal normal pressures.
Yes.
And so part of that for me is revisiting the language. So like for some people, they're grappling with the language of failure. But actually, to get divorced, for some people, like I always congratulate people when they tell me they're divorced. Congratulations, because like we don't envision recognizing how much labor it is to go through that process. And like it's an enormous amount of labor. So can we acknowledge that for people? So I always congratulate people. And then the second piece is around, for some people, what they've done is they've saved their lives. And to get divorced is actually a profound act of saying, my life has value, my life has meaning, and I seek a life that's calm and peaceful, and I'm going to be going after that. So I think there's a lot of, we should pay careful attention to languaging. And then the second piece is around parenting. And so I work often with people who are transitioning from parenting to co-parenting. And I know all the subtle aspects of that. So that's one of the areas that I specialize in. But the transition to co-parenting, if both parents are in a better situation, they're better functioning, less fighting, each of them taking care of themselves and feeling strong and capable, then the child, it's true, the child's going between two homes and two different spaces, but also the child is experiencing empowered adults who are in a good state of mind, in a healthy mental health. And to my mind, it's much better for a child to be around a healthy single adult than to be around fighting of two adults. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that so many people, especially women, should start much earlier working on themselves, personal development, mindset shift, and everything, to find out what are their values, what is the vision, what do I want in life? Because so many women forget themselves, only focusing on the kids and the partner, and yeah, they don't know what they really want in life, and then they forget that they are worthy to have a better life, because they don't think about it, that there could be something better. And I think that's so important, that we work here already on our mindset and our strengthening all the women.
Well, I agree with you. Ideally, we come into relationship with ourselves that's strong and thoughtful and compassionate and engaged and loving early on. But some of us wake up later. So, you know, the truth is all we have is today. Like today is the moment. There's nothing you can do about the past, and the future is unknown. So if I could just suggest slow down, and today is the day. Like today is the day you could set the table for yourself, make it beautiful, and when you take the time to eat your meal, that you're filling your body with love. Today is the day that you can go for a walk. Today is the day you can get off the bus 3 blocks earlier and enjoy walking a bit home.
Yeah.
You know, today is the day where when you're feeling like you want to yell at your kids, that you bite your tongue and go stand in the bathroom until you can feel yourself regulate. Like today is the invitation, right?
Yes.
And so it's really like when I do trauma-informed coaching with people, it's really about what can we activate today? You know, can you forgive yourself in this moment? Can you be compassionate with yourself in this moment? What can we do to look after ourselves today? So, and I find, you know, like the day is a beautiful invitation to have it be slightly different than we imagine it could be.
Yeah, and every day we grow, and every day we can do little steps to get to our goal, to our vision, and create the life we want to live someday. Yeah, that's great.
Well, this is like our conversation is making me think about like, okay, so if you have a divorce that's unwanted and you're going through a process that's unwanted, and divorce is often, you know, a very challenging experience that's emotional, social, financial, legal, and impacts your workplace. Like divorce changes your whole terrain. It has an impact on your whole terrain. But let's say you're going through those unwanted processes. To rebuild your life is an invitation to wake up and to get present, because, you know, we can rebuild a standard life, and that takes a lot of effort, or we can put in the same amount of effort and build a life that we love. And, you know, if we're conscientious and we're very thoughtful about how we put the pieces moving forward, we can craft conscientiously a very beautiful reality for ourselves. And so that's what I help people do.
Yes, absolutely. And as long as women or men stay stuck in that feeling, hey, I want that old life back, I don't want the divorce, I don't want this and that. If you stay stuck in that situation, feeling, moment, then you're not able to open yourself for new opportunities and see maybe that it's a present, that the divorce can be a present for you to change and experience something new. And I think it's people are afraid of experiencing something new, and they think that there can't be something better. They don't trust that process. But if we have faith that something new and something better, or most of the time it's better, that something better can happen, then, and if we forgive and don't if we leave our past and open ourselves for opportunities, then so much can happen for us. Life is always for us, and it doesn't happen to us, but it's always for us. And if we can see this, and this we learn by our personal development and mindset shift and everything. And since I'm on that path, it's so much easier.
So I think you're raising two really beautiful points. And you're reminding me, like, when I was going through my own 4-year divorce, that was a complete disaster, I started asking the older women around me, and the question was, did your life turn out how you expected it to? Like, did you plan to be here And every single woman said, no, I had no idea it was going to be this.
Mhm.
And some of them had really beautiful lives, you know, success, material possessions, well-being. But did they expect this? No, it was like life is full of unexpected aspects, and it's really about how you navigate them. And then the second piece, and I'm feeling this increasingly, and this is part of what I do with people when I'm working as a one-on-one trauma-informed coach. It's how to befriend our feelings. Because I feel like as Westerners, there's a lot of feelings that are extremely uncomfortable for us.
Mm.
Grieving, forgiveness,
Yeah.
acceptance sometimes, you know, to accept yourself fully with all your quirks and challenges. And the big feelings of sorrow, rage, and like how to metabolize those feelings. And ultimately, I think when we become familiar and willing and allow those feelings to happen and allow them to process without blocking or stopping or dismissing or sending to the side. But when we start to befriend those feelings, like, oh, hello, rage, like big feeling, or like, oh, hello, grieving with racking sobs where you're like, you know, a sobbing mess. When you start to befriend those feelings and allow them,
Mhm.
then you can facilitate transformation.
Mhm.
Because then you're not stuck. You're not responsive to the feeling. You're not like avoiding something. It's like, I can handle anything that comes my way. If it's grieving, I can process it. If it's rage, I can process it. If it's acceptance, I can figure it out. And once you've learned to befriend your feelings, you have a phenomenal arsenal and a phenomenal skill set that allows you to go out into the world and be able to deal with whatever's coming, whatever happens. And so often you're really empowered because you have this beautiful capacity because you've learned to befriend your feelings. And to my mind, that's what becoming an adult is. To become an adult is to learn to have these feelings arise again and again and again until you can figure out how to allow them and befriend them, perhaps.
Yes, and as you said, a lot of adults have to learn that, relearn that, because as a child, we always hear that we have to be friendly and that we shouldn't scream and don't cry and stop crying and everything. We are not allowed to show our emotions. If we are too excited, it's not okay. And if we cry, it's not okay and everything. So I've been in a lot of workshops and courses, classes and everything. And yeah, I saw a lot of women, especially, I think also men, but I'm a lot in shops with only women. They can't scream. They can't cry. And yeah, last week I was here. I'm doing it on my own. I'm screaming to scream all my emotions out of my cells and everything. And I was not able to speak for 4 days because I screamed so loud. But it was so good. Yeah. And yeah, we should allow ourselves to scream more, not to yell at someone else. I was here and in the car alone, screaming into a pillow, and yeah, it's very freeing.
Well, this is it. These are big feelings. They're uncomfortable. We don't often get encouraged when we're little to be like, oh, let's get all that disappointment out of your body. Let's get all the terror out of your body. Like, and so it really is often we become adults and then we have to, in some ways, reparent ourselves to learn to how to process these big feelings. And it's very challenging because we don't necessarily have other adults around us who are like, oh yeah, I was screaming in the car yesterday too. You know, like as a society, we don't talk about like, oh yeah, I'm grieving and I'm sobbing my heart out. And you know, it's not common fodder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 months ago, I was at a soul reading with 4 other women, and the coach that punched that pillow, and I started to scream very loud. And another woman joined me, and afterwards she said, "Oh, I'm so grateful that you started screaming. I wanted to do it as well, but I didn't dare do it." And for me, in the meantime, I do everything. It's no problem for me anymore, because I want to thrive every day and with everything. So I just do it. I don't mind if people think, "Oh, she's crazy." I do it. And that woman was so grateful that she could join, and she also took a pillow and started punching on that so she could release everything. And yeah, and sometimes we need a community with like-minded people, where we can be like we are.
And it's one thing as adults, but also to parent our children if we have children, and give them permission. Like,
Yeah.
let's go and set up 3 pillows stacked on the bed so it's nice and ergonomic, and let's go beat the pillow.
Yeah.
I can see you're having a big feeling.
Yeah.
Here, let's go. Do you want to go scream at the ocean? Do you want to go scream in the woods? Do you want to go scream in the car? Or do you want to go beat up a pillow? Like, and I think it's really important. Like we're talking about, we didn't necessarily get those resources when we were little, but can you gift those to your children? Like, can you teach your kids how to safely express their full range of their emotions? Like, so I'll give you an example. I've got a friend right now who's in the process of dying. And I said to her, perhaps one of the things you could intentionally do with your kids before you die, she's got teenagers, you know, we know these kids are going to have a hard time. We know there's going to be enormous feelings that come up for these kids when they lose their mom. Could she support them to teach them to get their rage out now, and safe ways to get rage out? Because we don't want these kids going out and using drugs in a public space, especially like in Vancouver, there's a poisoning in the drug supply. We don't want numbing or wild behavior as the response. It would be much safer to say to these kids, I'm going to teach you how to express your rage. I'm going to show you some really good tips for grieving. I'm going to show you how to deal with sorrow. And like, really can that be one of the gifts to impart? In this case, the person is dying, but for those of us who are still living, can we do the same, where we gift our kids this arsenal of how to deal with the big feelings?
Yeah.
Because I think so many people numb or have very managed lives, or they're decided to take medication to narrow the bandwidth. But actually, if we learn how to deal with these more challenging feelings, then we're more capable and we're better empowered for the world.
And what I learned after the divorce, someone said to me, when you cried and your kids ask, is everything okay? Don't say yes, everything's okay, because you cried. Just tell them, yeah, at the moment I'm sad because, yeah, I feel lonely and it's been a hard day or whatever it is. But don't say to your kids, everything is okay, because you just cried. So admit, yes, I cried. I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm overwhelmed, whatever, because otherwise the kid will connect, okay, crying is okay, and there's nothing really deep behind that crying. So it's
so I think what you're speaking about is congruence. The language and the behavior line up.
Yes.
So it's around how the language choices produce congruence. And like the practice I use is just to say, I'm crying, I'm upset. It's normal to cry. It's completely healthy and normal to be upset sometimes. And crying and allowing tears and getting it out is the safest and most healthy thing you could do. And so I kind of try and map the behavior as totally reasonable and a normal part of what it is to function. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm always mindful about using age-appropriate language for kids so that they can rely on their adult, that the adult will represent reality correctly to them. So again, congruence, but also in that age appropriateness, just to affirm the full spectrum of feelings are reasonable. Like one is not positive and the other is negative. It's just, this is the whole slew that we have to deal with.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. So yeah, Chavisa, so nice that you've been today with us here on that podcast. Do you want to share a few sentences about your work?
Sure, I'd love to. So the way I envision my practice is that I'm a trauma-informed consultant and coach. And then my favorite work is working one-on-one confidentially with people so that they can get the support they need. And so when I work doing trauma-informed coaching with people, it can incorporate the wholeness of their lives. So people will come to me with their workplace tensions or their relationships at work, their home stuff, their personal processes. And then, of course, we bring our histories with us. And so I've been so fortunate to be trained in trauma recovery that attends to spiritual and core wounds. So, and the idea is, it's very holistic, which I love, but the idea is when you take care of the spiritual and core wounds, then your body and mind come along. So I've been loving that practice. It's been such a beautiful thing to bear witness to people experiencing lightness and ease and just repositioning themselves because they're taking care of something foundational that's been challenging for them. So I work with people in a broad way, and as part of the coaching, it's like whatever people show up with, I can help them with. So that can be going through a really hard time, or that can be rebuilding afterwards. I can do the whole process with people. And the good and beautiful thing about the day and age that we're in is that I can do this work virtually. So I work with people all over the English-speaking world. My German is not that good, as you know. And so people are welcome to contact me from wherever they are if they're willing to do their processing in English.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chavisa. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. It's been an absolute pleasure having Chavisa share her incredible journey and insights with us today. I hope you found her story as inspiring and empowering as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or any questions you have for our guest. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. All the links and additional resources about Chavisa and myself can be found in the show notes below. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you amazing content. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep thriving. See you in the next episode.
Thanks for including me. That was really beautiful conversation.
Thank you for joining us on Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Let's embark on this journey together and rediscover the magic in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode.